it is 5 Things with me, Beth Lindop. I'm joined today by James Sutton as we discuss the 5 things we learnt from Liverpool 2, Real Madrid 0. James, just your run-of-the-mill, bog-standard win at Anfield last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, just a normal game, just a an average night in our history. No, look, 2 European giants, and I don't use that term loosely. 2 huge clubs with huge histories, huge pedigree, and our record against them, hasn't been great in recent years. European finals that we've lost. Them coming to Anfield, probably, in spite of their injuries, probably feeling quite confident. I would have thought, given that they had Bellingham and Mbappe on the pitch as well. But yeah, this Liverpool team just continue to impress me week in, week out. It doesn't seem like, we talk about challenges, in various competitions and every game being of the utmost importance. And then we go out and play like that and just absolutely smash them around. Certainly for the second half, the first 20 minutes I thought was, there was a little bit sketchy at times. There was a few mistakes in midfield, but after that Bradley tackle, I mean, wow, we just went at it and we were just completely dominant. There wasn't a period of time in the second half, especially, where I thought, are we going to concede here, or you're thinking, this could go either way. It was just absolute dominance all over the pitch. Individually, I thought everyone was fantastic, and again, as a team, as a unit, just really well drilled, really controlled. And yeah, just another 3 points, top of another group.
Yeah, you'll be pleased to know we have got a point specifically dedicated to Conor Bradley a little bit later on. But to start with thing number 1, and it is Arne Slot breaks Madrid curse. As you said, James, Liverpool's record against Madrid is pretty abysmal. I think they're on a run of 8 games without a win against them going into this game. 6 defeats, obviously 2 of those in Champions League finals. So as much as Madrid, I think, tried to build themselves as the underdogs coming into it with the amount of injuries that they had, you always fancy Madrid in European competition, and especially against Liverpool. So for Arne Slot, having been in the job 6 months, to come in and mastermind a performance like that is pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the champions of Europe. What have they got? 15 European Cups now they've got. I mean, it's a huge club to beat. Regardless of injuries, regardless of their current form, it's still Real Madrid. And I think, there's certain parts of the media and probably certain parts of various fan bases as well that looked at this tie as, right, this is the game when Liverpool are going to slip up. I mean, they say it every week. This is when Liverpool are going to come unstuck. They haven't played anyone yet. Well, we've beaten everyone so far, apart from Forest. But
we don't talk about that.
We don't talk about Forest. But no, just hugely impressive again. And watching it last night with my dad, I took my dad last night, which makes everything even more special, I think, being able to sit with your father and watch a game like that. But he was just so impressed with the sort of maturity of the team as well. And the referee, I don't want to talk about referees. I hate discussing referees, but I thought his performance was abysmal last night, and it could have boiled over at a few occasions. But we were so controlled, we were so dignified, we were so measured, and I think that all comes from the manager. I think it's his ethos. I think it's the way that he carries himself and the way that he responds to the players and to the individual situations that just kind of filters through the team. And there's an assuredness and there's a calmness about our play. And then when we need to, it's just full throttle, and we do kind of revert to that sort of heavy metal football that we enjoyed under Jurgen Klopp. So we're enjoying the best of both worlds right now. I can't wait for Sunday against City. I want to get back out there. It almost seemed disappointing when the final whistle went last night.
You just want to keep it going.
You just want to keep going. And I guarantee the players were feeling that as well. They were just thinking, right, who's next? Come on, do you know what I mean? Right, let's just get warmed up and just go again and go again. This is a truly wonderful Liverpool team with the perfect manager. We couldn't have asked for a better man to follow Jurgen Klopp. Big shoes to fill, but by God, he's filled them.
He has, absolutely. I think even he said actually after the game last night that even he hadn't foreseen that he would have made such a brilliant start. Liverpool top of both leagues. I think that the crowd made sure to make a point of that at one point last night. But we'll move on to some individuals then, and thing number 2, which is Conor Bradley shows his class. I mean, there were so many standout performances last night, James, so many moments and little flashpoints and highlights that we could sit here and talk about. But for me, the ultimate one was that Conor Bradley tackle on Mbappe in the first half. I was sat in the stands as you were, and there was definitely this sense of, anxiety when Mbappe was racing through, and you think you're just waiting for the net to bulge, and then out of nowhere Bradley just slides in with an absolute peach of a challenge, and that just set the tone for the whole evening, didn't it?
Yeah, you have to time that tackle so right. If you're a millisecond late, that's a penalty or potentially a red card, and But we've spoken in previous shows about the sort of symbiotic relationship between the fans and the players, and whether it's the atmosphere and the fans that inspire the players, or if it's the performance that kind of give the fans a bit of a lift. And I think for me it's about moments. We've seen it in previous seasons, when Pep Guardiola losing his temper on the touchline inspires the Anfield crowd, which then filters into the players. And last night, I think we were waiting for someone to light the touch paper, and it was Connor. That tackle. From then on, it just felt like a cauldron. The atmosphere got raised, the levels, the temperature, and you could see it on the pitch. The players were all of a sudden going, right, yeah, this is absolutely on, because all it needs is one player to kind of set the tone. And for us, it's a young sort of skinny lad, who's only had, I think it's his fourth start this season.
His first in the Champions League
First start in the Champions League. Two of his previous starts have been in the cup games. So for him, as a young lad, he should be feeling the pressure. He should have, this should be a really tense, sort of 90 minutes for him of thinking, right, just don't put a foot wrong. If it were me, I'd be thinking, right, okay, just do everything, by the book, don't make any mistakes, play it calm, but for a player like that to come in and produce tackles like that against Kylian Mbappe, I mean, you've seen the pictures all over media and social media and newspapers of him sliding in and Kylian Mbappe flipping over. I mean, just what a lad. But it wasn't just the tackle. It was his all-around game, actually. I really love seeing him on the pitch. He's not afraid to go forward. He's not afraid to go on the overlap, which I think is something that you could probably argue that Andy Robertson perhaps doesn't do enough anymore. But Conor Bradley going forward, taking players on, but always with an eye on his defensive duties as well. So that kind of all-round performance is exactly what you need from a fullback in this Liverpool team. And yeah, long may it continue. I hope his injury isn't too bad, because it looked like a hamstring, I think.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't keep him out for too long. But I think in the second half you could actually see he was pushing forward even more, whether that was something Arne Slot had actually said to him at half time, I don't know. But I did have a moment last night where I saw Trent Alexander-Arnold warming up on the sidelines, and I'm sure this was a game that he had sort of ring marked as one that he wanted to be fit for. Obviously doesn't make it onto the pitch, and I did think sort of penny for his thoughts at this moment, watching the team that he is obviously being linked with get torn apart really by the club, who obviously are very, very keen to keep him, but also watching someone playing in his position who probably has an argument to be starting at the highest level. So it does show, as much as Liverpool obviously want Trent to stay, as fans, the fan base certainly want him to stay. If he does move on, Liverpool are in safe hands, aren't they? Yeah,
I think it becomes more of an interesting, a more complex conversation now. Because, for a lot of teams, I think if you were to, the prospect of losing somebody like Trent Alexander-Arnold would be devastating. And look, I love Trent. We all love Trent. We know what he's capable of. We know what he's achieved so far for his age. But to have players like that coming through the academy who can step up and absolutely dominate a Champions League game against Real Madrid under those floodlights is incredible, and speaks volumes about the setup behind the scenes as well. You've got to take your opportunities when they come, and I love it. I love seeing young players seize the moment and grab those opportunities. So if and when Trent does go to Madrid, I personally think it's a done deal. I think he'll go. I'm more than happy with Bradley stepping up, more than happy. Yeah, well, moving on to the midfield then, and thing number 3, which is Liverpool's midfield is a match for anyone. I was at the game a couple of years ago where Liverpool get beat 5-2 after going ahead early on. It was a crazy, crazy game. And I think sort of the real standout in that game was just the gulf in quality between the midfields of both teams in terms of the maturity and the composure and the technical ability of the Real Madrid midfield compared to Liverpool's. And I think whenever you come up against a Spanish team, especially Real Madrid, you do sort of fear for that a little bit in midfield. But then
last night I just thought Curtis Jones, Alexis McAllister and Ryan Gravenberg, all three of them massively stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, hugely. They were incredibly impressive. There was a couple of times in the first half we give the ball away in midfield, but second half especially, look, to make Jude Bellingham and Luka Modric look really average. I mean, I didn't even know Bellingham was on the pitch for the majority of the game. That's how much we controlled that midfield. I think Curtis Jones is the one who deserves the most praise out of that midfield. I know McAllister will get all the headlines. Obviously, it's a wonderful finish. He does excellent, and his performance throughout the game was brilliant. But I love this Curtis Jones journey that he's on. A few seasons ago, you know, we as Liverpool fans, we all knew what a talent he was. We see it week in, week out, and you go, that's interesting. But he's absolutely magnificent right now. He's so assured, and he doesn't look like he's trying to impress anyone anymore. He's past that now. He's just doing Curtis Jones things really, really well. You know, he's really quite dominant actually. You know, I thought he was just real quality. Doesn't give the ball away, makes runs. He's always available for a pass, and he has that sort of heart that we look for, especially from local lads who aren't afraid to snap into a tackle, aren't afraid to, you know, raise their voice and boss people around. He's got that in him as well, which I just love to see. And he also nearly gets an assist last night as well. I thought he was tremendous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything the Anfield Wrap does this week is free. Every show, audio or video, we are putting out so you can get a good taste of the flavour of the Anfield Wrap as this season heats up. Obviously we're doing that because we want you to subscribe, so if you've done that in the past and you're thinking about coming back to us, then now will be a great time. And if you have never done it before, then also think about it now as well. We're approaching December, it's the crunch time of the campaign. It is the Anfield Wrap there for you pre-match, during the match, post-match. We've got you covered. Enjoy the week.
It's John Givens from the Anfield Wrap with a quick interjection to let you know a little bit more about a fantastic offer at the moment at Anfield with LFC Tours. Now, if you've not been to the Anfield on a non-match day for a while, you've not done one of the stadium tours for a while, or you don't know about the full range of activities they have at the moment, then this is a fantastic opportunity to have a look into it and also save yourself some money, because there's loads going on a non-match day. There's the classic stadium tour, of course, that is always being developed, and that includes the newly designed LFC Museum, which is absolutely brilliant. You can even abseil from Anfield if you want at the moment, and there's Legends, Q&As and ultimate Anfield experiences as well. And until December the 2nd, you can get money off, and it's a really good discount as well. It's 30% off the classic stadium tour. That includes the museum as well, with the code Black Friday 30. So that is Black Friday 30 when you're booking. You can either book a particular date, or you can get a gift voucher from that as well, and you get 30% off. Or if you want to do something a little bit more special, there is the Legends Q&As. So after the stadium tour, you'll hear from a legend who's played and won trophies, I'm sure, for Liverpool Football Club, just to hear a little bit more from them and maybe a chance to ask a question there yourself as well. Or there's the Anfield experience, or the ultimate LFC experience as well. They are really special. I've been lucky enough to go on one of those, and it makes you feel like an absolute VIP and maybe a Liverpool player yourself. Or also there's the Anfield abseil, so if you're brave and you want to tackle that, there is that as well. So if you can see yourself abseiling from the top of the main stand, why not get stuck in? Because at the moment you've got 20% off all of those with the code Black Friday 20. Like I said before, you can book for a specific date, or you can get a gift voucher for yourself or a family member for Christmas as well. So get ahead for Christmas with LFC Tours. If you're interested in finding out more about those experiences, or you want to book, you just need to go to lfc.tv/tours. That's lfc.tv/tours and get stuck in.
Yeah, just a reminder there that all of the stuff on the Anfield Wrap this week is free. Great week for it to happen. Plenty of good stuff coming up until the City game on Sunday. So make sure you stay tuned. And if you like what you see, then subscribe as well. But moving on to thing number 4, which is Kelleher keeps impressing. I mean, Liverpool have got some crop of goalkeepers, James, haven't they? They have potentially 3 of the best goalkeepers
I don't know anything about the other one.
Well, that's the thing. We're told that he's brilliant.
Yeah, he looks brilliant.
He looks brilliant. He did very well at the Euros.
Fabulous beard.
Yeah, that always helps, doesn't it? It always helps.
I like a goalkeeper with some facial hair.
Yeah, definitely. But Kelleher is yet to concede in the 3 Champions League games that he's played this season. He's saved all 13 shots on target he's faced in the competition. He's actually made more appearances for Liverpool than Alisson in 2024, which is some statistic really when you think he's still sort of dubbed the best number 2 in the world. He's actually not really been a number 2 for Liverpool this season. What do Liverpool do going forward? Because we know that he wants to play, we know that he deserves to play and be first choice somewhere else, but can Liverpool really afford to let him go next summer?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I think what it does in the short term is it means that we don't have to rush Alisson Becker back. That is in itself a wonderful position to be in, because for a lot of football clubs, if you look at Real Madrid for example, if they lose Courtois, there's a rush to get him back, whereas we're in this wonderful position where actually our number 2. It's a really difficult conversation when you have to sit him down and tell him, actually, you're back on the bench now, lad, because he hasn't put a foot wrong. He didn't have a huge amount to do last night, really, but the penalty save in itself, that's another one of those moments that I was talking about earlier, that just really sort of inspire everybody, give everyone a lift. And as you rightly say, he's not conceding goals. He's technically very, very good. He's good with his feet, and I feel really confident with him on the pitch. And I think for defenders as well, given that we a lot of the time we are pushing on and we are in a much more attacking formation. For our defenders to know that they've got that assurance behind them and they don't have to look over their shoulder and worry what's going on. Previous goalkeepers that we've had at the club, it's not always been the case. But to have someone like that in net is just fantastic. And long may it continue. For me, I'd love to keep him, but I don't know how you do that. I don't know what kind of contract you keep someone of that ability who's achieving so much and's put himself in the shop window as well. That's the other thing, is he came out earlier on, I think it was beginning of the year, in the summer I think maybe, and said, yeah, look, I'm looking to be a number 1. I deserve to be a number 1. So he obviously backs himself as well. So I'm not sure there's a world where you can say to him, we'll offer you a new deal and you can stay and be the number 2, because he deserves to be the number 1. And I think on his current form, I think he gets into pretty much any team in the country. I really do. I think he's absolutely fantastic, and he's well liked as well by the squad. You saw Andy Robertson making a little joke last night. He just gave away the penalty so he could give the goalie something to do. I love that. So he's a good lad. He fits in well and he works hard, and he's really supremely talented. He is. Yeah,
he's 26, so he's at the point now where he wants to be playing and deserves, to be playing. Moving on to thing number 5 then, which is sort of the one blemish on last night, which is Konate makes Liverpool sweat. I'm going down to Arne Slot's press conference this afternoon, where hopefully he'll give us a bit more clarity on that. But that was really the only disappointment of last night. Right at the very end, Konate limps off. He didn't look good, as he looked in a lot of discomfort. Fingers crossed it's not as bad as first feared, but that is one that Liverpool really don't want, especially ahead of the City game, isn't it?
Yeah, we've done so well this season with injuries. Trent aside, but we've done really, really well. Having a bit of cover for Harvey Elliott being out as well hasn't been the worst problem in the world. And if you look at our rivals in the Premier League, they've all suffered some. They haven't suffered. It's not the amount of injuries; it's the severity and the importance of the players. Yeah. If you look at Arsenal, for example, the players that they've had missing, they have a big impact. And Konate, losing him at this stage in the season for a couple of weeks, could potentially have a big impact. I like Kwanzaa. I think he's a huge talent. I think he's got huge potential, and I think in a couple of years, I think we'll really start to see the best of him. But right now, it's tricky. It's really tricky, and the best teams, the most successful teams, have a really strong centre-back pairing. If you go back to the Chelsea teams and the Manchester United teams that were really successful, they had those 2 centre-backs for the majority of the season. And we're starting to get into that now, where it's just Konate and Van Dijk. That's, you want them every game. They want to play every game. They've got the real balance. There's real good communication there, and they're both playing some of the best, the best performances of their lives. So it will be a huge loss. I have sneakily heard some fairly positive things about Konate this morning, that it might not be as bad as first feared. I hope nobody quotes me on that if we find out that he's out for 6 months. But it did look bad. I'm sure you were the same. Watching him walk off, he looked in a lot of pain. He was really struggling to sort of straighten his leg. He was really kind of limping. So time will tell, but he'd be a huge loss. I mean, he's been an absolute monster, hasn't he, this season? He's been really, really impressive. I mean, so dominant in the air again last night. Every header he just wins. He's a beast. I love him to death, and I know I've been looking for a long time for someone to step up to the kind of Joel Matip role, because I really like Matip, and Konate is that guy. So yeah, I'd hate to see him on the treatment table for too long, but fingers crossed. Yeah,
fingers crossed he's back for Sunday. Huge game. They don't get much bigger than Manchester City. As much as they've had a tough time of it lately, it's always a big game when they come to Anfield. So fingers crossed Liverpool can put in another fantastic performance at the weekend. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Thanks to James, and we'll see you soon.